Welcome to another action-packed session of RecRoute. Well, this is Noel from the L&D team of Monster, and it's a pleasure hosting another session for all of you today. I'm just waiting for all the participants to also line up and join into our session. So we'll just give it another 30 seconds. So I'm sure that you all are having a brilliant week and also are looking forward to an action-packed session because we have a very dynamic speaker with us today. And I'm sure that you all will garner a lot of thoughts towards the end of the session. So we'll give it another 30 seconds for the participants to join in. And I'd like to welcome you all to another amazing topic on boosting employee retention. And let's give it another few seconds. All right. So welcome to another session, guys. This is truly a privilege to host this session for all of you today. As you all know that this is a brilliant initiative that is taken by Monster. So welcome to another Monster RecRoute session number 10. And today we're going to discuss about boosting employee retention in the Great Resignation Era. Well, I'm sure that the topic itself sounds absolutely dynamic. And I'm very happy to introduce another dynamic speaker for today. And it's a special session for us. And well, we would like to, introduce Mrs. Divya Kapoor, Head Learning and Development, Quess Corp. So please let me just allow me to, please introduce the speaker to all of you today. As I introduce the topic, at a time when companies are looking to break free from the shackles of the pandemic that had been imposed now, but we have planned to go exponentially as well as, attrition is pulling them back among all employee related problems. Employee attrition is one of the key issues that we've been dealing with as well. So to talk more on the topic, let me introduce today's speaker, Divya Kapoor, Head Learning and Development as well. So Divya Kapoor is an avid researcher, enthusiastic and results-driven leader, currently spearheading digital learning for Billion Careers Pvt Limited, a Quess Corp company. India's leading business services provider. Divya is at the forefront of learning and development, L&D, and has successfully established the online learning arm at Quess. She has impacted millions of lives by providing them the GPS of learning and upskilling as well, thus helping them achieving their dreams. Divya has rich experience in learning, design, revenue, and growth for workers in blue collar, gray collar, and white collar jobs. She has an excellent understanding of the workforce and what it takes to keep them engaged, motivated, and fulfilled. She has expertise in creating and implementing strategic design plans, impacting brand image for varied products, services, catering to diverse elements and segments as well. Author of Love Has Its Various Ways and Her Wisdom, Divya likes to call herself an unshakable optimist. Well, welcome to RecRoute, Divya. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Noel. That was really heartwarming. Hi, everyone. Really welcome you to our new webinar. And I hope you guys are doing great. I thought it'll be amazing if we can tell each other where are we from, which city, which country you guys are right now. Please ping in the chats. Let's look at it. Okay, we have got Kolkata, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Malaysia, Pune, Kolhapur, Chennai, Noida, Bihar, Hyderabad, Kuwait, Manila. Awesome. I think all over India is here and Asia is also here. It's a really warm welcome, guys. And to start this session, I assure you one thing, you're going to have a takeaway. A, B, you're going to learn a lot, and C, it's going to be very interactive. So it's not just me talking, but you also talking and I'm listening too. So let's start it. I'm going to start one poll and I've launched it now. I want everyone to attempt it so that we can see from which industry we are all and how I can customize it even more for you guys. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. So right now, maximum of people we have is from IT, BPO, and some people from education, some from manufacturing, and there is others. That'll be great if you guys can mention what's others. I'm going to end the poll now. So this is where we are, everyone. And I would appreciate if people can mention others also. Okay. Pharmaceutical R&D. No problem. One thing which is common with everyone is learning and development and attrition and the Great Resignation. So I'm going to address the elephant in the room right away. I'm going to share my screen and get this going. Okay. So the question is, the great question right now going on and buzzing is Great Resignation. What is Great Resignation exactly? And how can we boost retention during this era when it's happening all over the world? Let's address the elephant. So if we see, Anthony Klotz has coined this word, and Great Resignation happened during pandemic and post-pandemic, where people got time to think, where people were pushed out of the system, where people understood their values and also understood what do they want to really work for, and had a lot of time of thinking, as well as going through depression a lot of people went through. So that's why it's being called the Great Resignation, where people were fired as well as people highly resigned and joined different jobs and companies. There is a huge focus on the Great Resignation with a record of 4.5 million job quits in March 22. And to be honest, right now it's in full swing. As per Michael Page, it suggests that 86% of Indian employees may resign in the next 6 months, while 61% of the employees are willing to accept salary cuts for work from home. So are we experiencing a new change altogether? Because the minds have been changed and people have been experiencing a different zone altogether after pandemic and understanding they want to spend more time in this and that, they expect more salaries. So to understand this, I think we need to understand something very important. When we say we want to kill attrition, what kind of people are we dealing with? We have a Gen Z and we have millennials. So I will not shoot high-five words at you. When I say Gen Z, these are the people born in the 2000s. And when we say millennials, these are the people born after 1982 or 83 and the 1990s. So these both are difficult to handle and understand because they come from Gen Z comes from a need of impact, and millennials come from a need of understanding how are we growing career-wise. And why am I talking about this is because it's extremely important to understand people before we talk about bigger problems. So why is it important to control attrition is because it's a huge cost to company. And to understand this, I've just put on some numbers here. So according to Forbes, according to different resources, they say the estimated cost to a company is 1.5 to 2 times an employee's salary plus 30, 60, 90 days notice period. That's huge. And this is mid-levels, okay? I'm not even talking about senior level. You know, the more the salary, the more the loss. So why, and now the question will pop up in your head is it possible for us to retain people who have decided to leave the company? So I'm going to ask this question to all of you right now. Do you think it's possible to retain people who have left your company, who have decided to leave your company? You can put in a yes or a no in a chat. Sometimes yes, okay, 50-50, not so easy. Yes, no, it has been very challenging. Not at all. Yes, can be tried, hard to do so. Thank you guys for sharing your opinion. So most of the people think no, or some people think yes. So according to the statistics, if we go, study shows that nearly 40% of employees that quit in the first year, about 75 people could have been retained. Interesting numbers, right? We could retain 40%. Again, we can retain 40% if we understand why do people leave. So I'm going to launch another poll here for better understanding, where you would like to, I have launched a poll. Please feel free to answer why people leave an organization. Please attempt it. So I'm going to wait 2 minutes. Someone has raised a hand, Satyam. Okay. Satyam, I'm going to take up your question in the end. If it's something you want to add, you can feel free to add in the chat also. 2 participants have raised hands. Okay. Okay, so we have almost the result. So according to people, according to you all attempting right now, attending the session right now, better salary is the major reason. Lesser reasons are lack of recognition, no work balance, no growth opportunity, and lack of employee benefits is the least according to you. So I'll just share the results for you guys to see it also. So it's important to look at this now. Moving ahead, there are 3 people raising hands. Okay, so I would just like to request, because we're going to move forward with few things, I would take all the questions in the end, but feel free to write a question if you have it right now, if you want it to be addressed right away. Okay. So before we say how to curb attrition, to understand how to curb attrition, we must understand why people resigning. According to you all attempting right now, you think better salary is the reason, or better profile is the reason, or better company is the reason. So 72% of millennials think they can't last more than 2 years. You will hear me talking about millennials and Gen Z a lot. Gen Z less, millennials more, is because we are dealing with them. Right. So if we want to control this and we want to understand it right, we have to understand their mindset. So if millennials don't think they can last more than 2 years, so really it is not the better benefits or better salary. We need to see what are they really looking for. Okay. Types of resignation which we all go through: voluntary, involuntary, retirement, internal, demographic. These are types, reason people resign. I would like to see an employee journey to be from the time they start our company till the time of retirement for HRs to look into. Because if we can map it that way, we are already ensuring people that we have carved a pathway. These are the major reasons of resignation, and this has been collected by various resources, LinkedIn and different resources of Forbes and stuff. So number 1 being lack of recognition, where people don't feel respected or rewarded. Second being where people think they want 20 hours of work within 9 hours, where startups have, or I would say edtechs, have been very promoting of this work culture, which is not healthy at all. Lack of employee benefits, because people are not getting what they deserve. Absence of employee training. Generally, there are companies where train for a week, and then they get it going, not realizing maybe touching upon them every 6 months or 8 months is important. And unrealistic expectations is extremely dissatisfying for people to quit and pick another job. I would take a pause because people are writing here, recognize their effort. Okay. Vaishnavi, I'll pick this up for sure. All right. Now, okay. So when I look at steps of attrition, I'm gonna pause for a few things where I feel it's extremely important in knowing the participants we have today. Analyze your workforce and then build your team. When I say so, it's extremely important because if you don't analyze your workforce, where we talk about psychometrics and stuff, you might hire misfits. For example, if I am a person, or an XYZ manager is a person who's a control freak, who likes people to follow, and he also hires people of the similar personality, they're supposed to have misfit. which we also called an attitude misfit. So it's extremely important that as a workforce, attitudes should be checked. They should not be neglected ever. So as I said in the beginning, for an HR, it's extremely important, talent acquisition people. When you are hiring people, your from step 1 to step Z, which means A to Z, you should plan it in. Okay, people are raising hand. Noel, do you want to pick something? There are 4-5 people raising hands here.
Well, at the moment, we can probably progress.
Okay, we can pick it up in the end.
The end
sure.
of this. Thank you.
We assure you, everyone, we'll hear you all and we resolve all your queries. Okay. So it's extremely important that we have a plan in place, and people, personality and attitude are extremely important to graph it right in the system and it's in the best of the interest of the business also. Second, hire and fire. I think that's just becoming the culture. We have seen it all over the news throughout the pandemic, how startups have been promoting it and how people have gone through it in a bad way. But we must weed out the dormant ones, I would always say. If we have people in the team who are not performing and they have been flagged over and over again, we should not look over it. I think a proper PIP plan is extremely important also. But just firing people without giving them a chance, putting in a plan, I think it's unreasonable, because there should be exit interview and policies into place so that everyone has a fair chance of listening and going ahead. Step 3, increase employee satisfaction by not skimming on compensation. So so most of the people said people leave because of better compensation. There have been research conducted. A lot of time when we are hiring people, we try to negotiate our level best to get them at the least possible, where sometimes we know we are underemploying people and some people are more worth. So when they think that, they can switch now because they have better compensation, they do. So when we don't skim on their compensation and provide their restructured retirement plans also, they want to stick around. And that's why a lot of people after pandemic are from startups, they're shifting to going through employee-centric companies. That has become the major shift in the trend. Professional recruitment strategy would be the fourth one, I think, which we should definitely do. Knowing you are hiring with a detailed work, at least for a 2 years plan, they should be there. At least we can build on after 2 years, because we can't have a 5-year plan for everyone. But a 2-year plans makes us understand how much funding is there. How much can the team have? Like if I have a 50 lakh of budget, how much can the team and the company sustain? Or will I be saying Tata bye-bye to this employee after 6 months? Which is actually the reason of hire and fire. Because there's no professional recruitment strategy. Why are we hiring? How much funds we have? Is it a stable hiring? Or is it just a momentary hiring? So I think as a talent acquisition head or as a HR, you should have that conversation with the hiring managers, because it should be thought through in the business before we ever go and hire people, make people resign. It's for both sides, right? We're seeing from the side of the people from the company as well as the people side. Moving, do people have any questions here? Should I explain something further here? I would like to take a pause.
Thank you, Divya. Let's wait for participants to probably respond in case they have any questions. And so we have a question in the chat box which says how to plan for 2 years in startups when we are not clear about upcoming projects. Would you like to take this question, or would you like to progress?
So I'll cover 6, 7, 8. I have 8 pointers, and I'll take up this question.
All right, thank you.
So, sorry. Okay. So and fifth, I would say change of department should be flexible, because IGPs in a lot of companies are complicated. If then there's a culture of coaching and mentoring, which is said that 32% people leave due to job. There's a desire to change of a profile. And that is also the top 2 reasons when people switch. So if we are able to coach and mentor people in the system, we already know what kind of moves they're going to make. So you can think ahead of people. It's not to break their trust, but it is to plan better for them. 6th, rewards are extremely important for people. 7th, training of middle managers. A lot of time people say that, my manager doesn't even know what he's asking for. And sometimes it's the bitter truth. So we need to have mid-level managers being trained and lower levels being taken care of too. It should also be upward and a downward both feedbacks, where we are catering and understanding problem rather than the person calling the shots. And eighth, most important, is professional development of employees, I believe. Infosys was not able to give a raise, but they solved the problem of people leaving the company by giving them a proper study plan to learn and upskill. Because employees, whatever the knowledge they had, masters or certifications, they have given to the company. Right now, what is a company able to plan ahead for them is extremely important. And when the employee feels that value, they want to stick around. Now I'm going to open the poll. I am going to take up all questions. So I'll take up the first question, where they said how to plan for 2 years when we are in a startup. So Avni, thank you for asking that question firstly. When we are in a startup, everything is very unclear, but you can always ask leading questions. Is this position open for a while, or is this going to be a promising position ahead? For example, if you are opening a position of a content manager in a particular, I'm taking an edtech example, right? In a particular, let's say, global school, university, right? So if I were in your place, I would definitely ask the hiring manager, are the funds cleared? Is this project how successful the data shows this project to be? It's because your data would be something you can stick to, and 2-year plan means how this team is going to progress further, right? How many people this man or woman will hire? Am I hiring the right person? And that is where you can plan your KRAs and KPIs going ahead, manager, senior manager, what promotions this person can be capable of, rather maybe your contract finishing off in 6 months with this school and you're pushing that person out in 6 months. Avni, I hope I've answered your question. Noel, we can, I think, take up all the questions now.
All right, that's brilliant. So we'll take off the questions again. Okay. So if you look at the next question that we have at the moment, this is regarding, okay, what is PIP? I'm sure everyone knows about it, but just in case you'd like to probably give 2 cents on that, what could that be?
So PIP is performance improvement plan, right? And it's something, a very, very basic policy in all companies. But if we go by the study, a few companies, big companies are also avoiding it. They're just slashing people out during the pandemic because they didn't have to reason out. They had low operational costs also, and startups hardly follow it. That's also true. But if we have when I say culture of coaching and mentoring, you already have one person, of course, you're going to increase work of someone at a very high level who can coach and mentor. Please see that there is no conflict of interest. They are not in the same business line. They're of some different business line. So when you put in a PIP plan, you give that person 1 month saying that your work has not been appreciated by your manager. We are putting you in a PIP for a month, and hereby we might have to push you out of the system if your performance doesn't improve. At least the person has a hint this is going to happen in a month's time, and he can prove himself. And the person here, HR plays a vital role. Rather than just supporting the manager, the person should actually look into the documents and see if that has been proven or not. What is the data saying?
Right. Absolutely brilliant. And I couldn't agree more with you. Thank you for giving us those 2 cents on that. So I request all the participants to please garner your thoughts, ask questions in the chat box so that we can pick it up as well. And since we are, at your favorite hour, I would say the question hour, I'd say. And if you look at the next question, this is very, I guess, interesting in terms of, how about signing a bond? Is it good to, concept, and should we get into it?
Hi, Algisha. I just saw that question. Bond, if you go by the Companies Act in India, it's illegal. So I would not support anything which is illegal. You can solve your problem for a bit, but the person can sue you.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you so much for answering that, ma'am. And let's move on to the next question. So candidates tend to leave the company even after giving them training and best benefits. They move from startups to better brand companies. So how do we cater to that?
Okay, this is something which is paradoxical in nature. You have to train them for yourselves also. A, B, if your employee is deprived of everything, you will have to kind of refuel him with better knowledge. That now this can come to your use also, and this person can leave also. But in your capacity, you have done the best. Right. But why do people go to bigger brands is because of the brand. Here is, I think, where your business head can move towards branding in a better position, where there is shown a career growth to him. That if you're moving to a bigger company, you might be moving to a smaller role. Here, your role is bigger. And in a 6 months time to 1 year, this is where your role can go. So if you go show that person the career growth chart, maybe he wants to stick around.
Absolutely. And that's a brilliant point that you've mentioned as well. And there's another interesting question in terms of how many years as of a minimum should a HR work in a company?
Okay, so if you're a Gen Z, I don't know, do you stick for months or not? If you are a millennial, you'll stick for 2 years according to research. It's up to you. I would say the latest trend shows people have become switchers, which means they stick around in a company for 2 to 3 years. They take a better hike, they take a career growth, and that's how they stuck around. If I had in my hands, if my first company could have given me a lot of growth and could understand and mentor me well, I would like to stick around at least 5 to 6 years. Because again, it's something your decision. If you are getting all of it, you would like to. If you're not getting, you're bored, you're not getting the compensation, you're not being rewarded, why would you want to?
Absolutely. And making them feel valued is one of the big elements, I'd say. I totally want to agree there too. So another question is how to coach new team leads, managers, which will eventually help the team to take care.
So I think the core L&D has that responsibility in a company to have leadership skills plan in place. You have OBTs, outbound trainings, which is called taking the team for 2 or 3 days off, or just inviting a trainer, breaking the ice with the teammates, doing teamwork activities, working on their motor skills, I would say, working on them subconsciously more, and telling them it's important to coach them. Right. And have that at least as a 6 months activity in a company, because if you do it once in a year, people forget it. There are no results.
Right. Absolutely. And well, we've also gotten some compliments as well, saying that the answers are super clear. So, and I totally want to agree with that. So, another question.
I'm glad I am able to do that.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to ask one more question is, are there any psychometric tools that you'd like to recommend, or anything that, the HRs have to be, since digitization is also one of the elements that we need to be.
So there are a lot of psychometric assessments. There is Big Five, there are DISC, which are called personality test, Big Five personality test. People right now, there are many companies which have launched it. You can pick up from them. Means I don't have any particular names, but if we come from Big Five and DISC personality, this is just to understand who has what kind of bent of mind. Is the person very good with leadership, with business development? And you kind of understand, because the questions are made in the understanding whether this person is a good team fit or is just a loner, right? That also makes you understand, would you like to absorb that person in the team or not?
True. I'll quickly run through the questions because they're pouring in at the moment. So another one is, in PIP, do you think stack ranking works? And if not, what process is better in PIP?
So I think in PIP, what I would say, it's very plain and simple. What process works would be, if let's say, I'll take an example, if someone you're pushing out because of low numbers in sales, right? You put him on a PIP, and if he has closed those numbers, which was expected in 6 months time or whatever, 3 months or 2 months time, then I think he has a clear chit to stick around. And if it was due to bad behavior, attitude, because there are different reasons managers are pushing them out, it cannot be just one. So if you create that benchmarking, you can create your own ranking for that rather than following a process. But you going through all, like in a month's time, how many times the manager and then employee met? Because if the manager was only available once, you can't really blame an employee. It should be a weekly or at least a bi-weekly, a meeting thrice that employee, because it's about employee being on the line, right?
True. I totally want to agree with that. And, there's a relatable question as well in terms of, employees are likely to leave when put in on a PIP rather than take time to, improve their skills. So, that's a common conflict that we always have as human resource individuals. So how do we handle that?
So it also happens, Noel, because they never receive an information in a polite manner. They receive that you have really performed really bad,
Right.
and hence your manager is really unhappy. We are putting you on PIP. Or there is never a human coming in contact. They receive an email that so and so your PIP starts and so it ends. But if there is an intervention from the HR side and the person says, till the time these by now you have worked on these things, this has been good, but this is something which has been highlighted over and over again, and that's why you've been pushed here. It's up to you. We would really appreciate and would want to hold you, and if you can improve on those skills. So there are many reasons where people want to just quit, because there's no human interaction. A, B, they have been dealt really bad.
True. Yes, I guess human intervention and probably setting the right expectation is also important.
Extremely important.
Valued. And yes, I agree with that. And there's another question about this bond, especially for freshers who ought to be trained. So is that probably something that we should probably take or move through with?
So it's not only in companies, it's in education sector also. If when teachers join IBDP sector and different sectors, they follow this, that if we put you into training, let's say 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs we're investing, particular training, getting you, let's say if somebody says, okay, we are going to get you psychometric certified. That whole training has a lot of cost involved. So I think that the company is doing the right if they want to put a bond to that. Whereas I also believe if you hire them with an expectation, you have to do this job, you need a certification for that job, and you have to provide that thing, then you can't really put that bond, because it's practically wrong.
True that. And I guess very nicely explained one more time. And I guess, the people have been asking about, how do we set up an L&D department in an organization where L&D was never, an area of concern as such?
Because people never thought learning is important.
True, I agree to that.
Now we have, so with the changing, I think there was this study conducted by Goldman Sachs that with the change of AI and ML, we're going to see people changing jobs every 2 years and also skilling themselves more and more to stay relevant. What jobs will always stay relevant would be like a plumber, or a job would be relevant would be a cricketer. You can't be just using AI and say, oh, wow, he's playing well. You need to see a person doing that. But a lot of jobs, if we see it in today's world, is being done by the system we are using right now. There's not one person sitting and putting it. There's Excel to do it, most of our jobs, if we say that example. So L&D, to set up L&D, you need to have an understanding. Firstly, where do you want? Just don't hire an L&D person and expect him to do wonders. Have the understanding. What do you want? Do you want a core L&D, which means every 3 to 6 months there is a touch upon on all the managers, mid-level managers? What kind of program you want to run? Do you want to run negotiation, conflict management, which is a huge problem? There are a lot of conflicts. Leadership skills, motivation, inspiration. What are the lacking? You'll have to figure out what is the skill set which your people lack. Right? Then you tell them the leadership things you want to set from your L&D. Second, if you want them to go through online learning, then that's a different space of L&D, online learning setting. Then again, you want to have them doing what you call courses from IIM and different companies. You want to do tie-ups. That's again an L&D version, and creating micro or macro learnings. So, but it has to be a consistent plan given to them that every 6 months you will have to do this one course, and every 6 months you'll have to attend this training, so that what money you are putting in your business of L&D, it's not being wasted. It's a mandate to them.
I guess true that, and in all the ways that clearly works. And I guess you've already given a thorough L&D work framework, I'd say. So thank you so much for that there. And another add-on to that question is, could you give some insights on capacity building and, personality assessment tools apart from the psychometric related aspects as well?
Personality assessment and psychometrics are not very different. Your big 5 personality and DISC are same. Okay. They're going to do the same job. There is MBTI also, but MBTI is more to understand which is the best career for you.
Right.
Right, it's more like a coaching platform you create. Also, if you know if there are IJPs happening in your company, you can also sit in coaching and mentoring and use MBTI as a tool. So these
Right.
are 3 4 tools which are used to assess personality and stuff. And also having a counselor in place is no problem, because mental health is becoming a thing now, and should be, because we have sometimes long working hours, sometimes we can't talk to others. That's why I think we have different companies picking up, and we are doing tie-ups also in Monster also, and in Quess also we are doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that can help also.
All right. Well noted there.
I would like to have question people now. What has been their worst experiences and how have they got through it?
Brilliant. That's an amazing question. And as we, pump in, get the answers, procure the answers as well, we'll just wait for the responses here. And until then, should we pick up a question there,
Yeah, sure.
Divya? Okay, great. So in place of bond or to serve notice period, can we take a blank check or something as per a part of salary deduction on a monthly base?
You can act, some companies do this also. If they're doing a training, they ask them to invest. Say they say we'll do 50%, we'll put in that much, and 50% you will put in because you're getting certified. That's a fair way, I think, because the person is going to get certified. So that's one way I think is a fair square play. Asking them to give money because you decide to get them certified is a little playing cheap, I believe. But I think going 50-50 is a fair play.
All right. I'll just fast forward those questions a bit, where it says after providing expected hikes, employees again tend to leave organizations for better salary after a month or two. How can we handle these kind of situations and try to retain the employees?
Could you repeat if after a month or two, what happens?
Yeah, sure. So after providing expected hikes, employees again tend to leave organizations for better salary. So after a month or two. So how do we, cater to those kind of requirements or, handle a situation that way to try to retain the employees as well?
So we can, of course, sit and understand why are they leaving. If it's about, again, they want more money, right? You can't keep doing that. It's almost like, a hamster on the wheel. You can't keep giving more cheese and more cheese. Now you have to prove yourself. Then you'll just be like, okay, sure, please leave. Because it's quite hard truth, but as an employer, if it's my company, how much more money can I give you now? Right. So, but if there is anything else, if you think, you're going to this company because, again, I'll come back to that answer where I said, if you go there, this is your career growth. If you stay here, this is your career growth. If you can show them a brighter picture and it's just not a wish wash, it's actual promise. I still think people would like to stick because they like the comfort also they were in, because they again have to prove themselves 6 months again for the salary they're asking.
True. I guess one more add-on to that question, since I'm going in the descending order now. So if a clause of 24 months of continuous service is included in the employment or the appointment letter, and if not complete, an employer has to provide compensation for that. Is that a way that employees can be retained? And I'm sure that
be an HCL policy actually. One of the company and I think they've avoided it now. They don't do it anymore. This used to be when the time where people didn't know their rights also. So I would like to reserve my comment about something which is not legally compilable, because why should we answer something which can be, not proven in the court of law? So yeah.
Right. True that. And how do we, keep employees away from moonlighting? Is this by making office mandatory?
Moonlighting. I think now we have come to moonlighting has been the term throughout the pandemic, where people actually did that. Of course, you can call them to the office. You have that right. They are your employees. But again, now employees are leaving because they want remote work. And if moonlighting is a problem, if they are not giving 100% to your job, firstly, and secondly, if they have it's not what do you call a conflict of interest in both the places. If it is, then again cannot do it. It's again not legal, to be honest, because there are a lot of grounds. But can we catch them is a question. And also, I would say you can just, if I were in your place and if I'm kind of getting a hint, and I really need this employee and I know he's doing good, I'll just keep emphasizing that we know moonlighting is happening, but rather than doing all these checks, we would appreciate 200% commitment here. These are your targets. You can always give a bi-weekly tracker and targets in place so that your work is not being compromised. And you can call them to office for sure.
True. Agree. And we have one more question. I guess a lot of questions, but I'll pick up one out of those. One of our participants is from automobile dealership, and we have a blue collar attrition. I mean, he's had a blue collar attrition at high levels, apart from the methods that you said, which we could look down upon. So any other piece of advice which you would like to share?
For blue collar hiring?
Yeah. Attrition when it's at high levels.
So blue collar attrition is happening. If I'm saying people are shifting from, this is just an example, I don't know whether it's happening or not, Swiggy to Zomato, let's just say, example, right? If they are doing it, there must be something the other company, A company or B company is giving, right? So in blue collar, one thing which is very important is they want money more than the white collar people, because sometimes they are just one person earning for the whole family also. So in blue collar, attrition is very fast because they leave in a 7 days time period and they join in a 7 days time period. So the only thing I think, if no matter what research you put together, those 8 points which I've actually shared with you guys, if you put it together, that's the best you can do as an HR person, and a consistent touch upon on them. Weekly, monthly HR connect should be there for low level as well as mid level, to understand if there is because a lot of time people are leaving for bad bosses also. We should not look away from there. And in some companies, HR supports bosses extremely, which is also, I think, quite biased. That should be also, we should refrain from that.
True. And we have another participant who says that, we have faced issues like once we provide an offer letter to the candidates, few join and few don't, as they just collect offer letters from various companies and join wherever they get better offer. And in this case, we waste our time. So do you have any solution for this?
I have witnessed it. I was hiring my team, like going crazy with it, because it's a very difficult team to hire, where you want core L&D as well as online L&D. And I was hiring, I given offer letters. The person have told me, after giving him 2 months of notice, I accepted and stuff. Just 10 days before I got it, that I've been retained by the company and stuff. And I'm like, the whole process starts again. But what can I do? I can just keep looking for more than, because I need an employee. Employee needs, it's like a demand supply rule. I can't do anything about a marginal utility here. So what we can do, I think, is we keep looking for, we can shortlist 3 people for the same profile. And we have that, okay, if this person doesn't join in the end, we can go to person B. So that at least there is a backup for you guys. So at least I started doing that. So I had a good backup. If this doesn't join, this joins. Not that I receive, though it was suggested to me that I should release offer letters, I didn't do that. I was categorically waiting, okay, if this doesn't happen then. And also checking, sometimes you can check also if the person has resigned that company or not. But the person has the rights to take offer letters.
Yeah, I guess it's a good technique that we could probably, hold on to. So how to make, employees who are there in the system for years accept a new human resource? I guess the participant is talking about a HR BP, where the employee size is just 15 and then you have one HR there.
You, rather than employing someone, you can do a trainer tie-up, right? Because there's no point. You might employ and then you might just say, okay, we don't need you, and you will just push that person out. But you can do a trainer tie-up, which means right now there are a lot of freelance trainers where this one HR person can do this. Okay, the HR person can hire an assistant, and that assistant can do this job of trainers and everything, having every 3 to 6 months and running the whole cycle. So it's a freelance model can be followed here.
Oh yeah, the freelance model, absolutely. And one more participant also says that organic growth in CTC, or unrealistic spike in CTC, not even matching the experience and knowledge levels. What are your thoughts? And it has been seen that people quit for the latter without even acknowledging the culture and growth opportunities.
I believe it's their loss, because startups have given jobs to a lot of people, but it has resulted into this culture where people are sitting on a VP position at 26, 27 and earning a lot of money. But my question is, will they can be replaced tomorrow by a very highly experienced person who can prove his mettle, but will he get the same position and money in the different company? It's very questionable, because the minute there's a bigger company, he will always ask why, how can you prove this? Because of your experience or the kind of work you have done, we can't hire you, right? But also I believe if there are people, there are exceptions who have done a lot in a very lesser period of time. If you think the person has proven his mettle, has is worthy enough, you should. But if you think it's just a wish wash, good resume, good talk, you should not. It's not your loss in any case, right? You want to hire talent for good, because you ultimately you want to depend on them also.
Ideally, I guess that should be the motto as well. And another participant also asked that if the management says I don't need the unemployed due to low performance without giving any chance to him or her, and the HR is trying to the best to convince the management. In this case, should the HRBP probably take sides, or what should an HRBP do?
I think this is a very common scenario for HRPPs in ethics. When they were shooting 5,000, 7,000, 8,000 people at the same time, they were trying to convince and stuff. But again, I think the problem actually didn't start because they decided to fire. The problem actually started from the hiring plan. So if the hiring plan was right in the place, the HRBP can do the best is to convince, right? We can do this because tomorrow, 6 months later, you're going to put in again triple amount of money to hire. But here the manager says, okay, at least, because sometimes managers are also problems. We need to address that. Are they also having the right attitude?
True that. And Divya, what do you think, according to you, would be the major reasons for high attrition?
I have mentioned all the reasons for high attrition.
Okay.
I think the root cause is always having no plan and mindless hiring.
Right.
And sometimes you can hire the greatest of all talent from the biggest of places. But if you had no idea and clarity, what do you want from this person? You're going to destroy that person also, because you were mindless in place. So that mindless hiring needs to stop. And of course, rest all depends once they're in the system. Lack of recognition and all of this is after they're in the system. First is the stupid hiring, I feel. And second, or I would, rather than stupid, I would say impulsive hiring is a better word. Having that impulsiveness, I need people, rather than that, having that clarity, why, till when, what is going to be their work. And second, I think, is the right attitude hiring, because not everyone is going to be as committed as you are, as proving themselves day in and day out and wanting more and more work. Some people like to stay, are backbenchers in life also. And that's also okay. There are places where they fit perfect.
True. And definitely, I guess you've explained a broader perspective on that. So what should be the HR ratio to employee ratio in an organization of, let's say, 150 employees as such?
150 employees. So if the HR is meeting everyone once a month, right? Well, actually, it's possible once in 2 months. There should be at least 5 people, I believe, minimum, which requires
5. That is for 150 as such.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because the one person would be setting the framework and strategizing, one person would be implementing it, and there will be 3 people who are constantly oscillating around, right? So that's the minimum, depending on how much they have decided as a budget.
Awesome. I guess that's a brilliant framework to probably work on as well. And what salary hike should be given to a candidate as per the industry norms. What percentage on their current CTC. I guess that's something that
that's very subjective in nature.
Yeah.
Though this industry norms is 30% right now when you are switching, or when you are having appraisals, but it's pretty subjective there, because sometimes if you are playing in a very niche market, you get a very good hike also.
Right. And one-to-one check-ins definitely are very impactful. So what would be the best format for doing the same?
One-to-one check-ins, best format is where you try to be as professional but as human as possible, where you can put in a framework. I would say I created my own formats. Though my team is not very big, but I keep checking on them, what is happening mentally, personally, and professionally, both. So there should be column of personal and professional, because a lot of your personal life impacts your professional life and vice versa. So you can create that psychological, physical, mental check in that format, and trying to understand, because if a person doesn't trust you, would not open up.
Yes.
So I think it's more of that. You can create your own formats, which you think would be, according to me, personal and professional, they're always linked. So it's extremely important to check their attitude for that.
Right, and the right-minded framework would definitely work. And participants also say that we've had problems with hiring freshers. They come, get trained
And the lead.
after a few months, yeah, and then they leave. They don't even serve the notice period, but the right word would be abscond. So
Yeah.
how do we cater to those
But
kind of
absconding also, we have legal team to look into.
right.
Because sometimes it's, you really need legal actions, in the sense, if you are competitors, right, and this in turn had some information, it's a huge loss for your business, and he has joined a competitor, he's of course going to give that information. So having your legal team extremely active in such places is very important. So, and also I believe it's sometimes important so that people follow being professional. It has become this Gen Z culture, is like, it's okay if I don't have a job, I'm freelancing, I'm sitting in mountains and stuff. That's great, but some loyalty to their company is important, where you have learned a lot.
Right. And what is your opinion on this, Divya? Whether an HR should be trained on, should he or she be trained on personality assessment, or should we
They
let her
should be.
go for hire for an expert
They
organization?
should be. If you can hire an expert, of course you should. If you can't, if you have built a good HR team, let's say 5 to 7 people you can count on, why not? Get them certified. And maybe getting one certified and making one certified person train others can also help if you have lower budgets. And if you can do, like, have a counselor in place, a counselor is always certified for psychometrics and everything. But
Right.
again, that's a very high-end organization structure we're talking about, where there is a team of counselors and stuff. So you will have to get your HRs trained. And to be honest, a lot of HRs don't behave like HRs. It is very important for HR to understand their human resource, and they need to be empathetic to all of the people, and also have a voice when they
Right.
need.
I think the right voice, I'd say, that definitely matters here. And I, I mean, are there any courses, or sorry, are there any sites where professionals can probably refer to, probably go up, sign up for a free course, maybe?
There is free courses. I don't think there are many. We can always go through LinkedIn Learning. We can always go through different platforms like Udemy and stuff. You can Google, and a lot of time WikiHow also helps you. But you can understand psychometrics and DISC, and some YouTube courses are free. Sorry.
No problem. I guess we are getting in a lot of questions. A lot of people have already been saying that this session was already motivating, and I totally agree with that. So yeah, I'm so sorry. You were saying something.
Yeah, so I'm saying there are number of platforms right now which have, like, some companies also have such structure where you can attempt the course, you might not get a certificate. So if you don't need a certificate in your organization, but you can absorb a lot of learning online, why not do that also?
True.
Yeah.
I agree. And what do we do as well here, Divya, where people want to voice out? I mean, there is an HRBP team which wants to be vocally self-critical, but sometimes would not want to take that gasp. How would probably that
So
kind of ecosystem be garnered to?
quite toxic ecosystem, I would believe, because everyone should have a opinion and a voice in the system. If you have a team, it's very important that the team speaks together, right? Maybe a person is not listening to one person, but maybe a team would be, the person would be able to listen to a whole team, because here again, a sensitization is important. And of course, the HR cannot just go to his head and start complaining, because it's called gossiping. And the person who's sitting at that position can also mar your career. It's not going to mark your career in any way. So it's important that you take a very strategic approach, I would say. If I am in your place, I would like to speak to all my fellow mates. How are they feeling? And if it's the same, motivating them to take it in a very positive way, not like creating a scene or shooting an email or something, just taking it very personally in a very positive way to that person and trying to say, this is what's really happening. This is what people need. We really need to take care of it before people leave. And because ultimately they're going to come to you because of bad attrition. Because the right attrition rate is 10%. And right now companies are on 30%, 35%. It's mind-boggling when you look at those percentage, which means it's almost like out of 5, 3 people are leaving your company. Right. So imagine how HRs are going crazy. So for their own mental peace, they also need to speak up. This is what's happening to us.
Right. I really like the way that you said it. And I guess the next would be, I mean, since, these are certain questions, I guess, will be, something that we really look forward to. So, I mean, if like, let's take a scenario in case, we hire a designer or a developer with the right attitude. If that person doesn't meet the technical expectations, how to, retain such a resource, or firing, do you think is the only solution there?
I think when we are hiring technical people, there should be technical tests done by the hiring manager. When I was hiring technical people in my team, I had created few tests. So all the people I hired had to go through tests, and trust me, it was very irritating and frustrating because I went through at least 200 tests. Nothing that I was not hiring for some CEO position. Trust me, it was a very basic position. But in my head, I was very clear: if I hire a wrong resource, I need to at least open a school for that person for 10 months, which I don't have the bandwidth for. So when you think it through, you put in that effort. So have that exam ready, which is created by you, that assignment by the hiring manager, depending on the work they're doing. So you already know that technical skills are tested. But if yes, you have already appointed someone wrong, then you'll have to let go of that person, because technically, if he's not meeting, you can put in on a PIP for sure and see if that person can live up to your expectations.
Truly, I guess that's a brilliant permutation combination that we can always try. I guess Seema says that, it's a brilliant session, and we totally agree to that, 100%, I'd say. And a few more questions coming up right now. All right, how to deal with employees who are trying to take advantage of the employer who is generous enough, but in the end found out that, the company is trying to, he's trying to sabotage the company. So
so very, very normal case again, where we tell people and managers to be empathetic. We are easily, people want to take our advantage. This manager always asks, how are you doing? And then the company, you have few employees will be like, this happened to my mother, this happened to my father, this, and you want to believe it and you want to help, but always you can't. So I think it's very important to set the professional boundary where you're like, I would love to hear you guys out and want to be there. But there's a professional expectation which is set. So not happening for a day, 2, 3, I understand. But there is a deadline you guys have to meet. And you will become a bad manager or not a bad manager. It doesn't matter. We don't have to win awards being great, but we have to meet the expectations. And I think there we need to be a little stern, that I can, of course, convince my boss for a couple of days, but not beyond that. Because you're already being, you're trying to meet in between. You're not saying no matter what happened in your life, you have to do this. You're saying, this is my attitude towards work, would appreciate 2, 3 days delay. I can deal with it. Beyond that is not in my hands.
Right. And how do we, probably cater to remote work locations? Because a lot of people even now would like to, work from home. So how do we deal with Gen Zs who say that, I'm not a chat person, who are not being a bit collaborative? How do we, probably cater to these kind of approach?
So when people say I'm not a chat person, I'm not a phone person, I'm sorry, you have been employed. I am your manager. You gotta respond. So sure, if you're not a chat person, then emails would be great. And I don't think most of the people are email person, and Gen Zs don't even know how to write the email right. It's like TYSM. So I'm not like, I have nothing against Gen Zs. It's just less professional. I see them being. What you can do is, at least I did that when I formed my team in the forming stage. I made sure, and till now I do that. There is a morning call with them 10 minutes, and there's an evening call with them 10 minutes. before signing off, so that I know that it has been done and closed, right? There is a bi-weekly tracker sent to them. It's updated by the days if there is a delay, reason for a delay, so that they also know why they have so much work. It's not just one person, the whole team has this work. And if you want to be more transparent, you can put all your work also there, because some people think, oh, my manager is doing nothing. So if you want, you can also say these are my tasks. So you're being the most transparent possible. But if they're not chat person, then they need to be a meeting person or a mail person. Otherwise, we don't know what they're up to, right? And that's not a manager's job to keep looking for the team.
Right. And that totally reminds that, every one of us should also, probably schedule a session for email etiquettes. I guess that's more important for Gen Zs.
Very important.
Yeah.
How to write a subject line. Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And how legit do you think, Divya, is it to have, different policies for local employees and employees sourced from outside the country? For instance, local employees are entitled to a national holiday, but those won't be relevant to offshore or foreign employees.
So again, I think this is something which can be adjusted according to the managers, because like I report to a very flexible manager, to be honest, right? And I think that flexibility is always given because you have proven yourself in the system over and over again, and there's a trust. So when you say the national holiday policy, again, that's something which the HRs have to decide. Okay, if there are no one's working in the system, and the offshore people are also dealing with the people in the locals, then there's no point making them work also. If it's a dealing place, like a business development, sales representative, if their clients are like a lot of, like my brother worked in different companies and he had clients in Australia and different companies. So he used to get an off because it's an off in Australia, because your clients are not available. So if the work is not available, what are you going to do?
Right. I agree more to that. And I guess, guys, if you have any more questions, I guess it'll be good if we can pick up at least last two questions. I know that's been just pouring in, but due respect of time, I guess we have one more compliment that it was a lovely session, and I definitely want to totally agree to that 100%. So we'll just give it another 20 seconds if anyone has any questions before we go ahead and wrap up this session. Oh my God! So we've got another compliment as well. That's great. So amazing. Let me just see if I've missed out on any questions. Okay, how to approach MNC for HR jobs? Okay.
Good resume and the good contacts. And you can build contacts. I think if we are not living in that age where we need to call our chacha, mama, fufa, uncles and stuff and say, you're in this company, can you do that? Actually, you should do that. Also, I would say, if you have your friends, people, have a good alumni group. Colleges you have been to, reach out to them. That's your place where you will get referred, because your resume should shortlisted by ATS, automatic system. So if your resume is not being shortlisted, it's not that you're bad, it's just that it is not ATS friendly. B, I think to skip that, have good contacts into place, in the sense your friends, your family group, whoever is working, and alumni base very strong. Right. And you can ask them to refer you. And once it's a reference, you already know it has come from someone legit. They would interview you. And good, of course, please be prepared. Then don't go unprepared.
Right, don't go unprepared. I guess that's totally up to. And this is absolutely from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much, Divya. I guess it was an absolute pleasure. And I don't think the compliments and questions are going to stop anytime sooner. So we definitely maybe want a part 2 of this.
Oh, amazing. I would be happy to do that. And thank you so much, everyone. It could be an evening or an afternoon right now for you guys. Thank you so much for joining in and asking me so many questions. I was really, really happy to be here. Thank you, Noel.
Thank you so much, Divya.
Thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure having you aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so participants, since we've come to another action-packed session and end, absolutely, and I totally agree that we should definitely have a part 2. So please do drop in your feedback, take your feedback. I guess once you leave the session, you will always get a feedback link, because your opinion matters to us. Please do take the survey so that we can serve you better. So, and this is Noel, your host, signing off for today. And let's look forward to the episode 11 very soon. Stay safe, stay blessed, and thank you so much.